Hello, my name is Joshua Dawson, and I am a PhD researcher working with my advisor, Jason Wiese, in the Personal Data and Empowerment Lab with the University of Utah. I'll be presenting our paper titled, "It Made Me Feel So Much More at Home Here: Patient Perspectives on Smart Home Technology Deployed at Scale in a Rehabilitation Hospital." First, to set the stage for my research, I want to introduce you to Caden. Caden was a police officer and an amateur motocross racer. His life was turned upside down on July 3rd of 2022 when he crashed his dirt bike. The fierce impact caused a burst compression fracture of the vertebrae in his neck, paralyzing him from the chest down. Although he has some arm movement, he has no dexterity in his hands or fingers. After a short stay in an acute care hospital, Caden was moved to a rehabilitation hospital to start his rehabilitation journey. For Caden, a rehabilitation hospital became his new temporary home for the next few months, where he learned to manage his limited motor abilities. For patients with severe motor limitations, you must rely on nurses or family members for nearly everything, even mundane tasks like finding something to watch on TV. With limited abilities, how do you watch TV? In a traditional hospital, there is a pillow speaker that allows you to control the TV, call a nurse, or turn on and off the lights. But for Caden, this pillow remote is unusable due to his limitations. For patients with severe disabilities, the only option for controlling the TV in a traditional hospital is to call a nurse or ask a visitor for help. Pictured here are two common methods for activating the nurse call. On the left, you have a head switch, and on the right, a sip and puff controller. Another one of our participants explained this challenge very well, as he said, "Clearly, asking someone to come and change the channel, turn up the volume, or turn off the TV is a big pain in the butt because these guys are busy. They have a busy job." But what if there is a better way that will allow you to control aspects of your room's environment and entertainment without always having to call a nurse or rely on a visitor? Let me introduce you to the University of Utah Health Craig H. Nielsen Rehabilitation Hospital. I will also refer to it as the NRH for short. The NRH has 75 patient rooms servicing approximately 300 patients per year. It opened in May of 2020 and was built from the ground up with technology in mind. But what makes this hospital exceptionally unique is that all 75 patient rooms have smart home technology packages integrated directly into the room. Anyone can control the smart features of the room through a custom app installed on a hospital-furnished iPad or on a personal device. As you can see from these screenshots of the user interface, the media, lights, blinds, door, climate, nurse call, and even the hospital elevators can be controlled directly from the app. As an example, if you click on the blinds icon, which I've circled on the slide, it brings up the blinds page. On this page, you can control the blackout, sheer, blinds, or both, and you can control them by placing them all the way up, all the way down, or increment by one step in either direction. The following video shows a patient using the hospital iPad to control the blinds. But what are the options if you do not have the ability to use a touchscreen? The NRH's Smart Room app has built-in voice control functionality. And as you can see from the screenshot on the left, the options menu provides example commands to control aspects of the room. Additionally, you can use other common accessibility controllers like eye gaze or glasshouse to control the app. The different control methods allow patients with a wide range of abilities to have control over the smart features of their patient room. There is a lot of prior research on smart homes. Users of smart home technology express how it can provide comfort, convenience, security, and leisure. Additionally, there is a lot of research exploring other technologies that are deployed in a healthcare context. However, a smart patient room sits in a gap between these bodies of work. Patients and their families are temporary inhabitants, so the smart home literature findings may not be relevant, while being in a hospital context complicates the deployment and usage of smart home technology. Our research looks to explore this gap by studying the implementation of smart home technology in a hospital setting. Our collaboration with the NRH has made this research possible. To explore smart home technology in patient rooms, we wanted to find out, to what extent does smart home technology employed in patient rooms affect patient well-being? What are patients' challenges with smart technology installed in their room? And how does a smart patient room fit in the context of a hospital setting? For data collection, we conducted 20 audio-recorded semi-structured interviews with patients and their caregivers available. Our interview questions focused on the complete experience of living in a smart patient room, including everything positive about the stay and the challenges patients had while using the smart technology. In order to analyze the data, we used thematic analysis. Across all 20 interviews, we extracted 747 quotes from the patients and their caregivers. We then assigned 132 codes that best represented the data. Finally, we used an interpretive and an iterative approach to group the codes into 16 high-level themes. These themes are reported in detail in our paper. However, due to time, I will only be able to cover some of the most important findings in this presentation. The first theme I'd like to highlight is that the smart home technology provided feelings of independence, autonomy, and control. Participants confirmed a finding from prior literature that as a result of their injury, they struggle with lost independence. However, by staying in a smart patient room, it helped give back feelings of independence, autonomy, and control. P19 shared his experience of being in a smart patient room, as he said, because it's not fun when you're in a position when you're completely paralyzed and all you have is your voice. That's just not fun. But then when you have a sense of control over something, so yeah, it does make me feel better, like I still have control. A lot of times when you are in a hospital, you feel like you don't have control over anything. P19 specifically elaborated on his initial feelings of hopelessness post-injury. However, having the smart patient room helped him regain control. The next theme is that the smart home technology in the patient rooms creates a positive overall experience through improved quality of life and feelings of at-homeness. A great quote that really embodies this theme comes from P3, who said, "It's great independence with being able to do this. It made me feel so much more at home here. With all the things that were controlling the room, it is a great feeling of independence and pushing forward. Another step towards something you can do when you're in this condition." While many hospitals offer entertainment options, the smart patient room is more accessible. This means that patients with motor disabilities can use the entertainment and accessibility features to take their minds off the stressful circumstances of their condition. Every patient we interview praised having the ability to control their environment. Without the smart home tech, many would have relied on caregiver or staff to do it for them. Nevertheless, any technology has the potential for bugs and undesired behavior. Based on our interviews, we developed the following theme. The technology primarily works, but bugs and undesired behavior still appear. A good example of an issue with the smart home technology comes from P15. He said, "The app works fine. The only problem with it is the temperature. It was really frustrating that I couldn't get it to work at all with the air." The thermostat control bug is a minor annoyance, but highlights that bugs exist. Despite experiencing some challenge with the tech, the frustration was never so much that patients stopped using it. But as researchers and engineers, we should strive to make it better. These themes are just some examples of the findings from our paper. I encourage you to read the paper for other important insights about smart patient rooms. Obviously, the application of smart home technology in a rehabilitation hospital is revolutionary. Without a doubt, it creates a more positive experience for patients with limited abilities, giving them back some of their lost independence and autonomy. But how would this look in other hospital settings, like an emergency room? In other hospital settings, the circumstances are different. Patients may not have the same disabilities or impairments, and their stays in the hospital might be on the order of days rather than the typical stay of 8 to 12 weeks as they are in a rehabilitation hospital. This rapid pace and short duration for patients could make the challenge of deploying a shared smart space even more difficult. It remains an open question whether the value of smart home technology that we observed in this hospital setting could be translated into other hospital contexts. As seen from our personal interactions with patients like Caden, these smart patient rooms have the potential to dramatically improve the quality of life of patients during their stay in a rehabilitation hospital, and possibly in other healthcare settings as well. Even in the current imperfect state of the hospital we studied, the impact of these rooms on patients is clearly significant and warrants further research into similar healthcare applications. In closing, I would especially like to thank the patient participants and our collaborators at the Nielsen Rehabilitation Hospital. Their willingness to volunteer made this research possible. Thank you.